Hey everybody, how's it? Oh, aloha, good morning. Why this song makes your face melt. Metallica, Nothing Else Matters. For me, Metallica was a divining rod through the 80s of the power, rock, and metal that I needed to get me through the 80s, because there was the 80s decade of decadence metal, which was cool too, man. There was some shreddy, crazy ass, super great things that happened in the 80s. But as far as viscerally staying attached to the rawness and the pureness of rock and metal, Metallica was that for me, as I can imagine for many people. Of course, I've heard this song before, so we're going to listen to this together. I will stop a couple of times because I just want to point out a couple of really super cool things about this song. Even though it's not a reaction, I'm still going to kind of lay on you some thoughts about, what I'm hearing and why I think there's a possibility that a certain section may have made your face melt off. Anyhow, so that's my story and I'm sticking to it. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you guys so much for the subs, the sharing of the videos, any advertisement runs, copyright claim. Publisher, writers, songwriters, record companies, they make the money as they should. If you decide you want to buy me a cup of coffee because my channel's not monetized, ta-da! If I'm zooming, I'm doing. That link will be down below as well. The link for the discography, Spotify, merch also for Metallica, them will be below too because I like to support them any way I can. So let's do this thing. All right!
Trusting who we are, and nothing else matters. Never opened myself this way. Life is ours, we live it our way. Hold these words I don't just say, and nothing else matters. Trust I seek and I find in you. Every day for us something new. Open mind for a different view, and nothing else matters. Never care for what they do. Never care for what they know. Trusting who we are, and nothing else matters.
All right, it's very difficult to actually stop and for me to do this in the sense that I'm so in the flow of this and in the soundtrack of life, because that's what I call this. A song like this that leaves a magical impression somewhere in your life story. I'm there. I'm already in my head where I was at, when I heard this. But what I want to bring up about this as the Decomposer is the beauty of imperfection. And what I mean by that is, That's not a slant on musicianship. It's the fact that we have gotten to a place, I believe, where the perfect velocity on picking, and every single note hits a specific velocity, so it sounds extremely consistent, and which is great with 80% of the music that I'm listening to on this channel. It's part of the technical beauty of composition, arrangement, and musicianship. One of the most powerful things about this song is that you feel them playing the guitar in front of you. You know, maybe that one note didn't ring out all the way as it should have, or maybe there was a little fret buzz here or something like that. That is what is the essence of the musicianship and the soul of this track. Another thing is the obvious build into when James, sings the very first verse, one lonely guitar, and then it builds into a little bit of layering. And then the engineering kicks in. That's when you get the thickness and the richness of the guitars that go, into full stereo and the ambiance and stuff. Still, very subtle guitar playing, very subtle chord changes. James Hetfield, to me, has one of the most accessible, approachable voices in my soundtrack of life. The tone of his voice, his ability, the little licks that he has at some of the ends of the phrases, that is not easy. For me, it's not, and at such a low level and low breath and stuff. The way he hits that's really super emotional, and those are the little mini hooks that stick out for me. Another mini hook is in the second verse, I believe, before the hook. You hear sustained guitar notes that are being held out in the back after the beautiful string section. Of course, we know there's strings in this song. And that whole element, that whole movement just kind of gives me the same kind of chicken skin I get from Pink Floyd, Comfortably Numb. And then the hook. I mean, the power of the hook when it comes up, very unique chord change. It's very powerful. The strings are in there fully loaded, and it just rises you to a level when everybody's all in on the mix. And then, of course, the background vocals. When they're doing an album, you're gonna layer. You got it, but the producer and the band keeping an eye on the layering so that they can perform this live. But in this case, I've seen them do this live, and it's just as powerful and just as beautiful. But the sonic, delivery of an album, when you have the opportunity to do the string overdubs and maybe another guitar way off over here holding down some power chords while there's other things happening, and then James with his voice and then some harmonies and stuff. So this is stop number one. I only have one more, so let's go back a little bit. Let's continue through.
Never trusting who we are, and nothing else matters. Never cared for what they do, never cared for what they know. But I myself this way. Life is ours, we live it our way. Hold these words I don't just say, and nothing else matters. Trust I seek and I find in you. Every day for us something new. Open mind for a different view.
The reason why I stopped this here is because the power of that passage when I first came back in of no vocals, to kind of settle you into a moment of reflection for whatever this song means to you the very first time you heard it, and you attached it to a moment in your life. And that, to me, that space there gives you the time to really entrench it into the soundtrack of your life, in my opinion. I do vacillate to the strings. You see me doing this, it's because I can hear that. It's just like when I told people, hey, did you know that there were strings in Comfortably Numb? And remember, what I'm doing here is not for musicians. It's not theoretical. It's not for the ones who knows. It's for the people who are the pure listeners, I like to call them, and they just enjoy music. And why does it make you feel a certain way? And the strings will give you that pulling from the soul. And the arrangement, I don't know. I should have looked it up. I'm bad old composer. I should have looked up who did the string arrangements on this. But they were done so well and so tastefully. And then one last thing I want to say before I back it up and we finish this out. James' voice to me is just absolutely powerful, soulful, powerful. Everything that I would have dreamed to have been a vocalist, I would have loved to have had a voice like James. And I'm not goobering on the guy. I mean, I am, but he just has that voice. And even to this day, when we hear him, he's like a Robert Plant. When you stop and you think, how is it as they're getting older? Are they getting better? Because vocals, you kind of wind down a little bit. You get a little older, you can't hit the high notes and stuff, and they're still doing it. And then finally, his solo. The solo was more melodic than it was a lead. It is a lead because it is out there. It is taking the lead, so it's a solo. But it's the little hookiness of na 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 na. When you know where you are in the song, when you hear that part of the solo, that's a very powerful hook. It's not always about shredding. In this song, shredding wouldn't have worked. I mean, you could have done it. It just wouldn't have fit. But the subtleness of just the right couple notes is the one that sticks with you. So anyhow, I'm going to back it up and let's finish this up. All right.
So close, no matter how far. Couldn't be much more from the heart. Forever trusting who we are. No, nothing else matters.
You know what else I have to bring to mind is that beautiful use of holding out the guitar note. That last phrase that he's saying, nothing else matters. You just have the guitar going on, and then you have James singing in such a very low, breathing performance of that you feel that you feel comfortable he's hitting those notes, but you know that he's just a whisper of breath away before the emotion could take over. There could be that break in there, and it's just unbelievable. But the notes that are being held out on a composition level in the background. Now, I can compress the crap out of a guitar, and I can do my little tricks to make with the right, pickup and everything, and all to hang a note out there. But that was done. That was perfect. That was in essence taking over for a string arrangement, but being a guitar, obviously. Anyhow, and then I want to just circle back. Leave in the comments when you first heard this song. If it's a memory you want to share. Where were you? How old were you? Did you hear it with your dad? Was it with your brother? Was it, when you were getting baked out behind the fair in the fairgrounds? I don't know. Anyhow, guys, thank you so much for hanging out. I'm going to do a couple more today. I'm on a charge, until Friday when I take a break. So thanks for hanging out. Thanks for your support. Once again, discography, all Metallica things will be there to support the band. Links below. Links for the AKG 240, Super Cool Beans headsets. And if you want to buy a cup of coffee, that link will be down there also. All right, guys. See you in a little bit. All right.